Weather Extra starts now.
Welcome into First Alert Weather Extra. Chief Meteorologist Wes Wyatt. The countdown is on to the arrival of meteorological spring season. March is almost here, and it's certainly feeling like the spring season out there. Spring has certainly sprung in Alabama. We've got tree pollen coating everything already. In fact, it was so thick today you could actually see the haze in the air. It looked like there was a fire happening somewhere, but it was just all the pollen in the air. If you noticed that haze over the city of Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, East Alabama for today. Well, let's get into our weather headlines because we do have a couple of spring storm systems on the way here. First off, we've got to watch tomorrow, and the picture, we're seeing a more clear outlook on how things will likely materialize late tomorrow night and then early on Thursday. So first off, we've got a marginal risk. Tomorrow evening, we've got a slight severe weather risk, and these are the outlooks from the Storm Prediction Center for Friday morning. That risk tomorrow night is mainly for areas north of I-20, and then on Friday, the risk includes the entire area. So level 2 out of 5 slight risk. There's going to be a line of storms Friday morning, roughly 4 in the morning until 1 o'clock in the afternoon, exiting East Alabama. It's going to move west to east, one of those classic lines that brings the risk for some damaging wind gusts. Can't rule out a tornado. Is this a major tornado outbreak kind of setup? No, not seeing that at this point, but this is more of a classic spring setup here, and the big concern is going to be for some damaging wind gusts that moves through early Friday morning. Bottom line, just be weather ready, weather alert. We're probably going to see more risks like this over the next several months, but this is the setup for tomorrow, and as you can see here, most of the area is in the what we call marginal risk. It's highlighted by this green, and then to the north where we're seeing a level 2 out of 5. So level 1 out of 5, level 2 out of 5 on a scale of 5 for that severe threat risk for tomorrow night. But what will happen is we'll see storms developing. We'll get the surge of muggy air moving in, that south wind starting to kick in tomorrow. Most of the day for us, we're actually going to be in pretty good shape tomorrow. Nice day. You want to get out there, rinse some of that pollen off the car. Notice, though, late tomorrow by 4 or 5 o'clock, we start to get some of those pop-up showers. This model doesn't show a lot, but the potential is there for some rain to start popping up with the heating of the day. I just can't rule that out. When you have a little moisture boundary like that that's going to be moving northward, that could certainly happen. It's going to feel more humid, you'll notice, for the drive home tomorrow as compared to when you leave for work and school early tomorrow morning. But notice what happens here late tomorrow night. See these storms? Something a bit more organized there. Look at that. May see kind of like an MCS, what we call a mesoscale convective system that may try to develop and track along that moisture axis there, that front to the north. Could have some strong damaging wind gusts with this, some hail producers. That's what we got to watch out for late tomorrow night. And I think that this is going to actually develop a bit further south than what this model is showing. I'm going to have some other data I'm going to share with you here coming up. But I think what will happen, this actually the rain-cooled air with this may actually force some of that wet weather further south late tomorrow night into Thursday morning. If we do see severe storms, greatest risk far north as this arrives late tomorrow night or passes by to the north. But after midnight into Thursday morning, not really expecting any severe weather for us, but there could be a rumble of thunder, maybe some leftover rain from this system that moves through late tomorrow night. Areas to the south, we may not see a whole lot. In fact, we may stay dry right on through Thursday for some of these areas to the south. Just not seeing a lot. It's going to be windy at times, unseasonably warm, but despite all this talk about storms, there's going to be parts of our area, at least until Friday morning, we're going to be in pretty good shape. So let's talk about Friday morning, and this is that risk that's going to be showing up early in the day that we've been talking about here for several days. Model is showing a line moving through west to east, and right now what we're looking at is that slight risk. Now, all modes of severe weather possible. I'm thinking the damaging wind threat, this is what Matt and Lauren and Fred's been talking about, and Mickey, the risk for strong gusty winds, that's going to be one of the big impacts out of this. Tornado threat's going to be more isolated. 4 a.m. until 1 o'clock on Friday, that's the timing, as this moves through, again starting to the west around 4 a.m. and then exiting East Alabama around 1 o'clock. After that, we're going to have some big improvements. But minus the storm threat on Friday, it's going to be a windy day. So overall, very windy, very warm, very humid, line of storms marching across the state there, kind of a rocky start to the day. here in Alabama. In the meantime, though, we've got some nice tranquil conditions out there for tonight. Let's run through that hourly forecast here, and just looking at the setup for the overnight and into tomorrow morning, you can see 72 degrees right there for the current conditions, and then by 9 o'clock, low 60. So not a major drop off in temperatures. Winds out of the south. We get to tomorrow morning, 58 degrees. No rain expected in the morning, but by the afternoon, you can see there we start to get that rain chance around 20 to 30% for some afternoon pop-ups. But late tomorrow night, again, that's when that marginal severe risk really starts to show up across those northern areas. But we're just getting started. We'll talk a lot more about that severe threat for later on this week, more on the weekend coming up in the 7-day forecast. And we're talking about the Fultondale recovery update. After that tornado, you recall, that was a marginal severe weather risk during that particular setup. We're going to update you on how things are progressing in the Fultondale area. March coming in like a lion. More on the aftermath of all the severe weather that's been happening in other parts of the country, including the plains, and more on this pollen that's really starting to intensify across the state of Alabama. As we continue right here, you are watching First Alert Weather Extra.
We know weather can be grab the umbrella or jogging shoes, but it's so much more. It's a science, an art, led by knowledge and experience.
And no one has more of that than a WBRC First Alert weather team.
Warning you first with more hours committed to you. And the first forecast built to see weeks, days, and even minutes ahead, right down to where you live. From the team you trust on your favorite screen.
Doing the weather better. The WBRC First Alert weather team, always on your side.
Some people may think you're overreacting. Some may ask, is there a storm coming? That's okay, because knowing the first alert has helped you beat the rush. Being prepared puts you in control and changes the what if to you're okay. Knowing first is everything. First Alert Weather.
If you have plans for this weekend, we have a first alert for a wintry mix.
When you need to know next week, tomorrow, or even right now, the WBRC First Alert Weather Team is always on your side, whenever and wherever you need us. This is why we First Alert.
Welcome back to First Alert Weather Extra. I'm meteorologist Lauren Linehan. Wes was mentioning that tomorrow we're going to be seeing some more clouds moving in. And then Friday, we have a first alert for it getting pretty windy. We check in with meteorologist Matt Daniel and Mickey Ferguson for an update.
Well, we know with that wind advisory yesterday, we did have some pretty blustery conditions. This was 11 a.m. yesterday, and coming through the Birmingham area, we had 34-mile-per-hour wind gusts. And just an hour later from that, at 12 noon yesterday, 36-mile-per-hour wind gusts there into Anniston. So it just continued on. And then we had a 36-mile-per-hour wind gust at 2 p.m. for Tuscaloosa. And look at this. Hamilton there into northwest Alabama, 44-mile-per-hour wind gust. Now today everything has subsided. The winds have died down. In fact, we've got some warm air in place that we saw today with winds dying down to 5 to 10 mile an hour clip. But my buddy Matt Daniel joins us, and even though the winds died down today, Matt, they're going to be picking up speed again. We've got two storm systems rolling through this week, and we could see those winds get pretty dramatic as well. Let's head over to you at the wall.
That's right, Mickey, and we're looking at more wind as we go into Friday. We've been giving you a first alert that we're watching a big dynamic weather system developing out across the plains Thursday into Friday. It's going to develop and make its way here, but Why is it going to get windy? Well, this is one reason why. We've got an area of high pressure off in the Atlantic and an area of low pressure developing into the plains. And you see these lines? These are what we call isobars. Yeah, this is Weather Extra. We're going to teach you what isobars are. These are lines of equal pressure. So all along this one line right here is the same pressure level. Then as you go to the next line, that pressure actually drops because it's getting closer and closer to that area of low pressure. And when you see these lines grouped up this closely together, that means you're going to get a strong wind gradient, and that's where you're going to get those windy conditions. And it doesn't only happen along the storms, it also happens ahead of that cold front and behind that cold front. So notice as we go into Friday morning where we're tracking those storms, look how close these isobars are ahead of that cold front and behind it. So we're looking at a lot of wind. So a good idea to secure that outdoor furniture Thursday evening as the winds begin to increase Friday. The good news, you can see how the lines sort of fade away and are farther apart. That means the winds calm down as we go into Friday night into Saturday. Now, this is just one model run. Doesn't mean everyone's going to get these wind gusts, but it shows the potential wind gusts, and there's a lot of wind energy. So as the storm's moving into the area around Friday morning, once again, the timing could still change. We could see those winds gusting up to 40, 45, 50. If we get severe storms, we could see gusts over 60 miles per hour. But notice, after the storms move through, this is Friday afternoon, we could see some sunshine, but it's still going to be very windy. So we got that dry air filtering in behind that cold front, so we could still see those winds gusting up to 35 to 40 miles per hour. But as you can see by Friday evening, the winds not nearly as high. We're looking at gusts maybe around 20 to 25, and it really starts to calm down as we go into Saturday. So it's been super warm, it's been super windy, and unfortunately when you have a lot of wind and warm temperatures, you got pollen, and that's going to be a big story for us for the next 5 days. You can see the miserable faces over the next 5. Today, of course, was high, and it's going to be in that high range tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, into Saturday. The only way we'll get a little relief, of course, get some of that rain moving in tomorrow night, going into Thursday and Friday. So get ready for the wind Friday.
Thanks for that, Matt. Meanwhile, Fultondale High School athletic teams returning to their home campus tonight for the first time since a deadly tornado hit there in 2021. The Wildcats are hosting baseball, softball, and soccer games at the new Fultondale Athletic Complex. Jefferson County Superintendent calling tonight bittersweet, saying that while tonight is a joyous occasion, there was so much loss and destruction to overcome. He says tonight is a long-awaited victory.
That's why, this is a moment that we're really cherishing, because it's something that we can celebrate together, a new beginning. And we're starting that beginning better than we were before the tornado.
More good news, graduation will be held in May on the new football field. January 12th storm victims this year now have more time to file their taxes. The new October 16th deadline applies to 13 counties impacted by the disaster, an R-viewing area that includes Coosa, Greene, and Hale counties. This extension is for federal and business tax returns as well as tax payments. This also means eligible taxpayers will have until October 16th to make 2022 contributions to their IRAs and health savings accounts. Happening now, the city of Hoover wants to hear from you if you have flooding concerns. The city says throughout the year they'll share tips to help. Today's tip is knowing your flood hazard. They are asking you to call the building inspections department to find out the flood hazard for your property. And as we know, over the weekend, at least 7 tornadoes touched down in Oklahoma. Now one of the survivors is telling her story. A mom was in her home with her 3 kids when a tornado passed over them. As Elise Jones tells us, the woman says it's a miracle no one in her family was hurt.
I jumped up to run and go get my kids, and I started hollering, tornado, and it blew me back, or something might have hit me, but it blew me back. And then as I'm looking, it's like being in a blender.
The eerie aftermath of a home struck by a severe storm.
Doors were flying, things were exploding. I get back there and my boys meet me in the hallway.
Her 10 and 12-year-old sons helping her fight flying debris to get to this back bedroom, where her 7-year-old daughter was laying in bed when the ceiling collapsed.
She was in here, and we were able to get her out of this room. And this right here, I mean, we are so lucky to be alive. We are so lucky that we weren't injured. I didn't even know how we survived it. Like, how did we survive?
Cocooned in a corner hallway, holding each other, praying. And when the sun came up, they saw the damage for the first time.
First time that I was able to see it was when the helicopter, Channel 5, flew over it and they were zooming in on it. I was just like more traumatized, thinking, oh my God, we lived through that.
She says none of their things are salvageable, except a few family photos they've dug out of debris. And while nothing's in place and everything seemed chaotic, Frances noticed one thing never moved.
My Bibles were there, and that's where they stayed, right there.
Her Bible. She says it never left this spot. When she saw it today, she knew it was a testament to the shield protecting her and her children in one of their darkest hours. And although they lost nearly everything, they kept the greatest gift, the ability to stay together.
I think about all of our life that everything we have is gone, but we have each other. We have our kid. I have my kids. That's all that matters to me.
She goes on to say it's overwhelming how many people are working to help her recover and rebuild. Although the house may never be the same, she's grateful to be alive. Coming up next on Weather Extra, we check back in with Chief Meteorologist Wes Wyatt for a look at that super 7-day forecast, and I'll take you beyond the 7-day. We'll be right back.
Are you noticing mold or discoloration in your shower? Or maybe you just want to replace that old bathtub with something more modern and luxurious? Well, either way, we've got you covered. Hey everybody, I'm joined by BJ Worzen, owner of West Shore Home, to talk a little shower and bath remodeling and how West Shore is making the entire process from start to finish fast and easy. BJ.
Thanks, Joe. At West Shore Home, we understand the headaches and stress a remodeling project can cause. That's why everything that we do is designed to make it stress-free for our customers.
A lot of people don't think of remodeling as stress-free, especially bath remodeling. So how are you making a complicated process easier?
Everything in our process can be done from the comfort of your own home. Give us a call and we'll send one of our bath experts out that has a time that's most convenient for you. And when it comes time for that installation, we're going to send one of our employee installers out and complete that project in as little as 1 day.
So no running out to big box stores and comparing samples and colors and then maybe waiting months for the installation. You're saying this is an all-inclusive process, making it really fast and easy for customers. That's great. Now, BJ, I understand you have a flash sale going on right now. Tell us about that.
That's right, Joe. Right now, anyone that gives us a call, we're going to do free installation on all shower and bath remodeling projects. On top of that, we're going to be doing 12 months, no interest, no payment financing. That means you can get that bath project done right now and not have to make any payments or pay any interest until 2024.
Free installation, that's a great offer. Well, let's see some projects you've done recently.
Absolutely, let's take a look. Here, we were able to completely remove an outdated shower and bath and install something that matched the rest of their bathroom. That low step feature is going to make getting in and out of that shower really easy. And the sleek matte black hardware looks amazing. Here's a few more. All of these were installed in 1 day, and just a reminder, for a limited time, anyone that calls will get free installation on their shower and bath project.
BJ, thanks so much. Folks, call West Shore Home now for this limited time offer. It's free installation on all shower and bath projects. Plus, for limited time, BJ is doing 12 months of no payments and no interest financing. Get your shower project now and don't worry about making a single payment until 2024. Call West Shore Home now.
Welcome back into First Alert Weather Extra. Chief Meteorologist Wes Wyatt. It's a nice, pleasant evening out there. It's been very hazy because of all that tree pollen in the air right now, but the wind has settled down 72 degrees. It feels incredible out there tonight. The weather, as far as the temperatures go, another cool start in the morning, but not too bad. We don't expect any freezing conditions out there. We stay dry tonight and into tomorrow. Now, one thing you'll notice is tomorrow, especially afternoon and evening, that mugginess starts to increase, those higher dew points building in from the south, and that's what's going to feed some of those showers and possibly some strong storms tomorrow night. Let's talk about this setup. Notice we have the first alert for stormy late tomorrow night and into Thursday morning. And as we take a closer look at this on Wednesday, and Lauren, we may need to put that in play mode over there, but I just wanted to point out Actually, there we go. I've got it. Just want to make sure I have the model here so you can see on Wednesday there's lunchtime temperatures in the 70s. And then looking at the afternoon, the model, this is from the graph model, one of our high resolution models. Doesn't show a lot in the afternoon, but I still think with these 70s, the muggy air building in, there will be some pop-up showers, maybe a pop-up thunderstorm there in the afternoon and into the evening. But then we're watching late tomorrow night, and I mean, we're talking after 9 o'clock tomorrow night. Late tomorrow night. Rain and storms back to the northwest. It looks like we could have a cluster of storms that rolls across the Tennessee Valley and into parts of Tennessee. We're going to catch a tail end of this. We could have some damaging wind gusts, maybe some large hail. We need to watch it around Hamilton, Hackleburg, Coleman, places to the far north, and then that's going to drop southward. You see that? After midnight and in the early morning on Thursday. By this point, this should be a lot weaker, but some rain, possibly a rumble of thunder, some heavy rain possible in some areas there during the early morning. A lot of this should stay north of I-20. You see there, we don't see a lot off to the south. Looks like maybe some showers around early Thursday morning, and then we'll catch a break during the day on Thursday. The severe risk starts to ramp up again by Friday morning for us. The Storm Prediction Center, you can see for Thursday, they have us highlighted and a slight risk for severe weather, but this really won't impact us until late Thursday night and into early on Friday morning. The main action on Thursday happens to the west of us. Friday's the day we got to watch here. Notice 72 degrees, very windy setup on Friday. We could have some wind gusts as high as 50 miles per hour in some of those areas to the northwest. A lot of that coming right along that line that's going to move in. This is the European model, some of the global deterministic data, and it shows that line reaching us in West Alabama there around 8 o'clock in the morning, central areas around 11 a.m., and then eastern areas by 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But I just want to point out some data shows us moving in as early as 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. So we're still trying to fine-tune the timing on this. Just know Friday morning, line moves through, damaging winds possible, as well as at risk for isolated tornadoes that we're going to be watching out for. That's the next big thing on Friday. And then we got some sunshine coming back just in time for our weekend with highs in the 60s. Looks like the pollen's going to stay with us for the next several days. Of course, right on through next week. Will these warmer temperatures quickly return next week? Let's check out that long-range pattern going to meteorologist Lauren Linehan. And Lauren, looks like kind of a classic spring setup here as far as that threat for storms going into early Friday.
Yeah, Wes, honestly, I don't see beyond the 7-day many big changes. It still looks like the dominant pattern is going to favor above average temperatures. Well, we've been seeing cooler than average temperatures across the west. Here in the southeast and along the Gulf Coast, still above average temperatures going to be likely 6 to 10 days from now. So as we look at those forecast highs going into next week, you see by the middle of next week getting well into the 70s again. And then even going into that second weekend of March, still potentially seeing temperatures running a little bit above average, which 60s, not quite 70s, but still generally we're not seeing a big stretch of any below average temperatures. Of course, we're all wondering, when can we start planting in the garden? Well, normally we're going to wait till about after Good Friday for that, because we still have that potential for at least a couple of frost and freezes before we really just stay warm. But generally it looks like we'll still be seeing rather mild temperatures until maybe the middle of the following week. So still plenty of time for that to change. But as we look beyond the 7-day in terms of that rainfall outlook, really a good portion of the U.S. could be seeing above average rainfall. And yes, that does include us here in Alabama. Going to be warm and wet going into March. What a surprise. So as we look at beyond the 7-day in terms of that futurecast, here we are next Thursday, March the 9th. Wes had been mentioning when he showed the 7-day forecast going into next Tuesday, we have the potential for rain. And it looks like that unsettled pattern could likely stay through at least Thursday of that week. So here we are the following Friday, March 10th, drying out a little bit, turning a bit cooler going into that weekend, but still seeing generally this ridge of high pressure dominant over the Gulf of Mexico. And what we could see are those disturbances on the north side of that ridge bringing us some rain. So it looks like that following weekend, that Saturday should be dry, but we do want to watch for that next Sunday, March the 12th, for the potential for a storm system to come into Alabama. I think that's going to be the next thing we need to watch. Of course, this is still well beyond the 7-day, so plenty of time to fine-tune that forecast. Meanwhile, here at home, now to our continuing coverage of that landfill fire in St. Clair County that's now been burning for 3 months. The EPA says it could take another month to get the fire fully extinguished. An on-scene coordinator says they are still bringing in a lot of soil to the site to be sure they fill in all of the gaps to make sure this does not happen again. Agency officials say the air quality levels are steadily improving. The smoke has decreased, but there's still an odor emanating from the landfill. An ADM official tells us about 150 loads of dirt were brought on site just on Monday alone.
That's why we're using so much soil at the site to make sure that we fill in all those gaps, and we're trying to extinguish the oxygen that's maybe captured within the cells. We're hoping that there won't be any more oxygen left, and that will keep the fire from igniting again.
The EPA expects to continue to stay on site until the end of March. They also plan to work with the state and county officials to repair the roadways from so many large trucks coming in and out. And also in Ohio, the EPA administrator making a third trip to the site of that toxic train wreck that we've been following for the past few weeks. Michael Reagan toured the scene with local leaders today to check on the progress of the cleanup of the toxic waste. Reagan also put Norfolk Southern on notice.
In no way, shape, form, or fashion will Norfolk Southern get off the hook for the mess that they've created. And as the cleanup work continues at a rapid pace, EPA is awaiting Norfolk Southern's work plan, which we will review and approve.
Reagan also assured the community that the EPA continues to monitor and test for all toxic chemicals. And coming up on First Alert Weather Extra, we'll take a final look at that 7-day forecast and talk about why just maybe your allergies could be bothering you. We'll be right back.
We heard the first alert. Mom says we have to go. She says I don't have time to grab any more toys.
Need to be in your tornado safe place. Get there right now as you have.
We have to get to our safe place because sometimes when you hear the siren, it's too late. That's why she says knowing first is everything.
We know weather can be grab the umbrella or jogging shoes, but it's so much more. It's a science, an art, led by knowledge and experience.
And no one has more of that than a WBRC First Alert weather team.
Warning you first with more hours committed to you. And the first forecast built to see weeks, days, and even minutes ahead, right down to where you live. From the team you trust on your favorite screen.
Doing the weather better. The WBRC First Alert weather team always on your side.
The first alert is more than a warning. It's a promise. A promise to get you out of harm's way with plenty of time to spare. 4 walls and a roof can be replaced. Lives can't. That's why knowing first is everything. First Alert Weather.
Welcome back to First Alert Weather Extra. I'm meteorologist Lauren Linehan. You've probably noticed pollen piling up on your car and windshields, causing you to get the sniffles. But meanwhile, in the Northeast, the same storm that brought tornadoes to the Central Plains and windy weather to Alabama moved into the Northeast overnight. Snow and freezing rain have been coating roads, slowing drivers down. Meanwhile, a new storm system is pummeling parts of the West Coast with more snow and blizzard conditions. So getting back to the pollen here in Alabama, Dr. Wes Stubblefield with the Alabama Department of Public Health says allergy season typically starts around early March and lasts until summer, which I feel like a lot of us probably had an idea of that. This usually includes symptoms with a runny nose, watery eyes, and sometimes a sore throat from the ever so infamous postnasal drip. If you have severe symptoms, Dr. Stubblefield recommends a prescription medication or an over-the-counter nasal spray.
It's a low-dose steroid that's sprayed directly into your nose, where most of the symptoms are the congestion and the sneezing, and that helps to dampen that immune response down so that your symptoms aren't quite as severe.
And for lighter symptoms, Dr. Stubblefield suggests just over-the-counter meds, and if Benadryl makes you a little groggy, look for the non-drowsy options instead. I know I'm Team Flonase over here, but let's get one final look at that 7-day forecast. So the weather is going to be turning more active. If you're a space geek like me, step outside right now and look towards the western sky, and you can see Jupiter and Venus almost in conjunction. And now's going to be the time to do it. They're going to slip away below the horizon, and then clouds are going to move in overnight, setting us up for some off and on storms through Friday morning. There is a severe threat Wednesday night into early Thursday, and then again Thursday night into early Friday morning. Then after that, turning very windy on Friday, briefly cooler, and finally drier for the weekend. But Chief Meteorologist Wes Wyatt will take a further look at that 7-day forecast coming up tonight on First at 9. You can catch us back here on Weather Extra tomorrow night at 6:30, and I'm meteorologist Lauren Linehan. Have a safe and happy Tuesday evening.